Hey, what's up, y'all? We're back with another edition of the Zero Hour, final edition to 2022. Tim Lloyd, Jeff Hobbs, getting ready to dive into some Aries 14 talk. That's our first three. Goes down next Friday night, January 6th. The world famous Cotton Eye Joe, Knoxville, Tennessee. Today, Jeff, we're going to talk to three members of Scorpion Fighting System up in Michigan. We're going to talk to Cierra Buxton, Zoe Nowicki, and also Spencer Rivas, all making their Aries debut. I'm excited to chat with them. They come from a great team with a storied tradition of great female fighters and UFC fighters, coached by James Gray. Excited to meet them and introduce our audience to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. Really pumped about meeting these two young ladies, just because, like you said, the gym has a history of putting out some really talented female fighters, and learning some of the history of both these young ladies really has me intrigued. And then definitely excited for a 2-0 undefeated Spencer Rivas to join us as well. I know Michigan is a long way away, Lansing, I believe, but man, at 2-0 in that weight class. If he likes Tennessee and wants to come down more often, this would be the spot for him. So I'm excited.
Before we get started, a little housekeeping. Hit the like button for us, subscribe, notification bell if you would, right down here. You'll get notified when we post new content, including the underground videos going up January 1st. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Smoky Mountain CBD. Check them out, SmokyMountainCBD.com. They'll be in the house next Friday with some dankalicious swag for our VIPs. We appreciate them as always. Jeff, hit that spot. When we come back, we'll have our three guests in the house.
Yes, sir.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Aries Fight Series returns to the world-famous Cotton Eye Joe on January 6th. We start 2023 off with a bang with 12 professional and amateur bouts. See some of the most exciting up-and-coming fighters on the regional scene as they face off inside the Aries cage. Get your tickets now at fightertix.com.
And we are back, and we've got, for now, it looks like we've got Spencer Rivas and Zoe Nowicki with us. Hopefully we get Cierra back in here, maybe some technical. And we got Cierra Buxton back with us as well. Hey, thanks for joining us, y'all. We're about a week away from the weigh-ins coming up next week, so I'm sure this is the final week of that hard training, hard sparring before we get into weight cut mode. All three of you guys making your Aries debut down in Tennessee, so I'm excited to let our audience know some information about you all before we get into the fights next Friday night. Let's start it off with Spencer. Spencer Rivas, 2-0. Coming into this bout, and he's going to be taking on Kobe Ford, 1-1. We know Kobe from down in Chattanooga. Spencer, this fight is going to take place at 145, although from what I gather, 135 is kind of, also a spot that you ply your trade in. It's interesting enough. We were just kind of sorting through our 135ers today for our rankings and, kind of lining up who's going to be where and who's coming up for title. So, hey, good chance to impress coming up next Friday night. Before we jump into this fight, though, give our audience a little bit of backstory here. What got you into MMA? What brought you to the sport? And any athletic history background? Just give us a little quick rundown.
I haven't been in the game forever. I started wrestling in middle school. I did about a whole season and a half. It's just something I got sick of pretty quick. Wrestling wasn't really my thing, so I took about a year or two off, and I found Scorpion Fighting System because I was getting real big into the whole UFC thing is blowing up. All my friends would talk about it. It's all they wanted to do. So I just looked up local gyms in the area and just so happened to be lucky enough that Scorpion Fighting System was supposed to come.
So, of course, already 2-0 coming into this bout. You've had both of your bouts, it looks like, have gone to decision. So you've got a good amount of cage time. Stark contrast to Kobe Ford, who both of his fights have been fairly quick, win or lose. So do you think that gives you a bit of a leg up, just having a substantial amount more of cage time, which, this early in your amateur career, I think goes a long way.
I think it'll help me out a little bit with the comfort and just feeling a little more relaxed than he is, but I don't really know the guy. I don't know how his nerves are before the fight, but it's what it is.
Of course. So, you mentioned you got a bit of a wrestling background there. Do you consider yourself a grappler first and foremost? Have you taken to striking, or just kind of, embracing all aspects of MMA?
I train everything fairly equally, but I would say I'm a little bit more of a grappler.
Sure. So, you're there at Scorpion Fighting Systems. You got two teammates on the card. Tell us a little bit about some of the people that have been helping you get ready for this bout. I know that they've got so many talented fighters. Between that 125 to 45 range. Who are some of the people that have been helping you get ready?
One of my main training partners is actually my roommate. I'd show you him, but he's out of the house right now. His name's Bo Turnblom. He's really good in his own right. His only loss is a disqualification, but me and him have been training every single day, multiple times a day, and he's a really good guy. He's about my size. He keeps up with me.
Jeff, I'll tag out to you here. What you got for Spencer?
Well, when we get to Zoe, I'll find out how she feels about those disparaging comments about you and wrestling. We'll see what she thinks about that. But man, so typically 135 is where you see yourself at, right?
Yeah.
Has this 145 bout made things a little easier, not having to think so much about the weight this go around? Have you found that was that something that consciously you thought, okay, the long drive out of state, this is just going to be way more comfortable for me at 45?
I mean, my debut was like Southern Kentucky, so it wasn't too much farther off. I had no problem making weight. Really, all it is just cutting out the whole weight cutting process.
Right. So Southern Kentucky. So traveling is not new to you when it comes to this. Do you find sometimes that the pressure goes away, quote unquote, on an away game, not having the pressure at fighting at home and in front of so many friends and family?
I don't think so. I don't think the pressure really changes in my head anymore. When the fight starts, it's a fight. It's like another super hard sparring session. It's just I'm able to lock myself in, and anything outside doesn't really affect me.
It's got to feel good too, though, with two teammates on the card. So even almost organically, fans that maybe aren't able to travel for you, you're organically going to get some Nowicki and Buxton fans because you're from the same team. So their fans that are coming are obviously going to be supporting Scorpion Fighting System. So it's almost like the best of both, to be away and getting to travel, but still having that Michigan support.
Yeah, we share a lot of fans, but I am excited to travel down there. I always enjoy a good road trip.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, the record that you've got, the weight classes that you are okay, good with competing in. If Tennessee suits your fancy, man, like Tim said, we were kind of going through our rankings today, and it's kind of wide open right now. And you would be a great addition. Not looking past Kobe Ford and what you've got in front of you, next Friday night, but it would be a great addition to either 45 or the featherweight rankings here with us. So definitely looking forward to seeing you perform next week, my man.
I appreciate it.
Let's move on over to our next guest, Zoe Nowicki. And Zoe will be in our co-main event. Jeff, one thing we haven't mentioned, or we'll have a female main event and co-main event for this card. First time we've ever done that. That's super exciting. Zoe will be taking on Shield Systems fighter Yinti Alcantara. Both of these ladies very talented in their own respect. And let's dive in with Zoe here. Zoe, word around the campfire is you can wrestle a little bit.
Yeah, I've been wrestling for 12 years. My dad was a huge wrestler in high school, and my little brother started wrestling, and I just joined in and never stopped.
So before we about this fight a little bit, you give us a little bit of the rundown. We jumped on air, but for our listeners out there and our viewers, give them a little bit of a rundown of your wrestling background, credentials. I talk sarcastic and saying can wrestle a little bit. You can wrestle a lot. Give a little bit of rundown of your credentials there, and then talk a little bit about what kind of brought you to MMA. Is it just the desire to stay competitive? In something that you can only go so far. Obviously with wrestling, now you kind of branching out into MMA, when something that eventually may get paid to do. Talk a little bit about your background here.
Yeah, so some of my credentials, I won a national championship in high school. I made it to Russell Boys in Michigan, so I made it to Boys State in high school. I was the captain on my high school team. And going into college, I was a four-time All-American. I won a national title my sophomore and senior year. I've competed at multiple World Team trials. This last year, I was a runner-up at the World Team trials. I was a world team alternate. And I've competed at Olympic team trials. I qualified for that. And I plan to hopefully do that again. What got me into MMA was actually my coach that got me into women's wrestling. He brought me to Scorpion Fighting System back at their old location when I was 14. I'm 22 now. When I was 14, and just for wrestling, to help these MMA fighters with wrestling and all that. And then they went to a new location, and I started wrestling there some, and people were like, "Oh, you should do jujitsu." So I dabbled in a little bit of jujitsu when I was a teenager in high school, but never really stayed consistent when I got into college because my wrestling career took off. And then I kind of just rekindled back with Scorpion Fighting System again. And it was a huge switch for me because my whole college career, I thought I was going to be a college coach. And I'm here now trying this out. I wasn't done being an athlete. So,
Well, we say it all the time. Having especially a wrestling background that good is the perfect base for MMA, especially in the beginning stages. You can dictate where the fight will take place more often than not. If you want to take someone down, you'll get them down. If you don't want to go down, you're probably not going to go down. What do you see in this fight with Alcantara? She's been. This is a really, to me, this is kind of like just the most intriguing fight on the card to me, because obviously you've got the wrestling credentials, you're fresh out of competition, you've been competing often, don't quite have the MMA experience that she does, but then she's been on the shelf for a couple years at this point, so we don't really know what she's going to look like coming back. What do you see in Alcantara so far, and what can we look forward to in this bout? To me, this is kind of a wrestler versus grappler that isn't really a wrestler, but is a slick like BJJ type. So she probably isn't going to mind if you take her down. You'll probably have positions to your that will play favorably to the judges' eyes, things like that. But she'll be a danger, I think, at all times with submission attempts.
yeah. So, as you said, that's what I know about her is she's mainly a jiu-jitsu player. I think we can take this fight to the ground. I honestly am super confident in my jiu-jitsu, even against someone who's been doing it for a while. I train with a lot of high-level jiu-jitsu girls. And I'm pretty confident on my feet too. That's me and my striking coach have been working together a lot the past, I don't know, few months, and I'm pretty confident everywhere. My last fight, I fought a super high-level wrestler. She's even more credentialed than me, and I beat her with my wrestling. So really, I'm confident kind of anywhere. But yeah, I'm excited to fight a well-rounded fighter.
Jet.
Yeah, I kind of, you're talking and I'm picturing it. I go back to, days of working with, former UFC fighter Luke Sanders, things like that, where it was that heavy top wrestling pressure that actually nullified the jujitsu perfectly in his career, because he knew how to not leave space, how to transition, but just that, as people say, be heavy, keep chest to chest, not pull off and leave space. Again, obviously we don't want to give a lot of your game plan out, but there's no secret you are a wrestler through and through. Do you find that that's what happens a lot, is when you are grappling with jiu-jitsu players, it is that strong wrestling foundation that kind of nullifies what it is they're looking for?
Yeah, sure. For sure, that has set my base up for jujitsu exceptionally. But I also do think that I'm lethal with my jujitsu in general too. So
Right. Well, Tim is the matchmaker for Aries, things like that. I'm the guy that looks at everything else outside of matchmaking. So one thing I look at is ticket sales and crowd support and things like that. And I have to say, it was a pleasant surprise to me when we booked this fight. And usually the Cotton Eye Joe is a place where there's not a lot of VIP areas. It's a small area, to where the moment I put tickets on sale, I get a notification on my phone that pretty much every VIP table is gone at the Cotton Eye Joe. And so I'm wondering, hey, is this a Shield Systems? Is this a so-and-so? And I look and I see that it's Zoe Nowicki, is the fighter they're supporting that wiped out all our VIP tables. How does that make you feel? I mean, what is, I know you had to have Googled, MapQuested. What are we talking here? How many hour drive is this to have that kind of support?
Yeah, so it's like a 7 to 8 hour drive from us in Michigan.
Mhm.
To have that support means the world to me. It makes me wanna cry, like, everyone is so excited. They always wanna keep up. I have family coming from kind of all over the country, so family I haven't seen in a while, friends, so my mom was so like, "When are they selling tickets? When are they gonna go on sale? When are they gonna go on sale?" I'm like, "You know when I do, like, you know when I do." So she was on it every single day waiting.
Hey, I
She was
will say
waiting
she's
until
also
last night,
pretty
so
she's also pretty hip to the game, because her first question when she reached out was, if my daughter's opponent pulls out, can I get a refund? So it's like, okay, you've
She's
been there
wise.
already. Yes,
yeah,
you're wise to this. You've been there, which
yeah.
we do pride ourselves. Always cards are subject to change, but one thing we've always been sticklers on is if your opponent pulls out on you, that has nothing to do with you and what you did to get there. So she was very excited when I told her, yes, ma'am, if that's the case, absolutely. Not to harp on the wrestling thing too, though, but I look at it as also coming from that wrestling background. And, my son tried to wrestle for, he's right there with Spencer. He wrestled for about a year and a half, and he's like, all right, this shit just ain't for me. Tough kid. Yeah. Tough kid. Don't get me wrong. We'll pound it out on the football field and things like that. But he was just like, this just isn't for me. But what I do know from my short time as a wrestling parent is the support and the travel goes back to those wrestling days, those AAU tournaments where you guys are traveling all over the place, having to be places at 6 a.m. in the morning, and you may not hit the mat till 9 in the morning. 3 hours of waiting, the traveling all over the state and the region. Um, is that something that you feel as well, that growing up in the wrestling atmosphere, your family is used to traveling? They're used to going long distances to watch you compete.
Yeah, for sure. I wrestle multiple times a year in Texas, throughout high school and college, and my mom was there most of the time. So, I wrestled in Nebraska. He's there, you know? So, yeah,
Well,
my
let her
dad
know
drove
that
me to Oklahoma. He would drive me to Oklahoma every year for nationals. So,
I know what it's like to sit in those bleachers for 5 or 6 hours. So let them know
mhm,
we have backs to the seats in the
mhm.
VIP, so it'll be a little more comfortable at Cotton Eye Joe, and they'll be able to have an adult beverage
Yeah,
while they
table
watch you.
service, right?
Oh,
Yes, table service and an adult beverage when they get to watch you compete. I mean, I'm pumped for all three of you guys, and I'm excited to move on now to Sierra and hear about her. But Zoe, I'm really pumped. You know what? To see what all the damn hype is about. Um, we're in a time right now where women's MMA, it just continues to keep getting as big as big. You got people like Kayla Harrison, who now people, like fighters like you can look up to and see that they came from the same background, the same thing that you did. The guys have had this, for years, looking up to these, D1 wrestlers moving on to MMA. But now you've got actual, role models to follow in that footstep. So I'm excited to see what all the damn hype's about. So I cannot wait to meet. Already, we've said that to Spencer. I'll say it to you too. Can't wait to meet you next week.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We've got Cierra Buxton in the house. Sierra is going to be in our main event, challenging the current Aries featherweight ladies champion, Mary Rosenbeck, for that strap. Potentially 5 brutal rounds. Sierra, how's it going? I appreciate you joining us here, and very excited to have you in our main event next week.
I'm looking forward to it.
So same as the others. Let's start off. Let's get a little backstory, a little background on what got you into MMA, any previous athletic endeavors, and just a little rundown here on your background.
Yeah. So originally I 10th grade, and that's when I started paying attention more to the UFC, and I started to see on the fight nights, and I started getting really into it, and I made my whole gym. I wanted more some technique and more coaching, so they were close to me, and I found Scorpion Fighting System right in Brighton, and I went there to do my free trial for people who want to try it. And so I started that, and I started for a while. I think I did 2 years in boxing, and I didn't really get into jiu-jitsu. I just wasn't really feeling it, and I wanted to focus more on boxing. But then I wanted to do MMA and be a well-rounded fighter and have all the MMA skills and do jiu-jitsu, and I've been going strong for it.
Hey, we're excited for that. Of course, you're coming in as the challenger here with Mary holding the title. So this could go 5 rounds. She went 5 rounds to win the title. Is that something, I assume this will be your first time potentially going 5 rounds. We oftentimes see female fights go the distance. Is that anything that weighs in the back of your mind that you could potentially be fighting for 15 minutes out there? Or is that not anything that you're concerned with?
I'm not concerned about going the 5. Whatever happens. I could see it ending early, and I could rounds.
So how do you see, have you had a chance to watch any Mary's fights? It should be on YouTube. And I'll let Jeff get to you here in a second, but I would say on the side, you guys remind me of each other in a few ways. You're both very, soft-spoken, very nice ladies. And it sounds to me like that you want to bang out there first and foremost from what you're saying about having boxing your first love. And I know Mary definitely wants to bang out there. How do you see this fight going with Mary? I'm stoked because, obviously I'm excited for our co-main event as well, but this one's going to be one that's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to send the crowd home fired up because we're going to see y'all two throw down, I think.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like it's gonna throw down and do our best. I'm really excited to see how it actually goes. What we'll both do, because I know we're both strikers, and she's very good at striking, and I feel like it's gonna be an amazing fight.
Jeff, wrap us up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here with 3 amateur fighters from the same gym, and if I'm not mistaken, I mean, we've got a combined record of 6-1, and there's a group of 3, which is amazing. All of you are coming in, as hot as you are. We talked a little bit off air, Sierra. I think it was, in between times you were coming in and out, but has it really sank in? You guys didn't notice. I know Zoe didn't realize it. She said that you guys are the main event and the co-main event of this fight card. At what point did you, now originally for all those watching, this January 6th show was going to be a pro-am, so we were going to have pros on the card. But we just kind of looked at our schedule and kind of the way some of our fighters' schedules were working out, and we felt it was best to turn this into an AMI and push, the pro shows. But when was it you realized, holy shit, me and Zoe are main event and co-main event and, this card in Tennessee?
I did not realize until now.
Until now tonight?
Yeah.
Well, how does that make you feel? Yeah, I mean, to learn that.
I'm stoked about it. I've never been the main event, so it's kind of like people are going to pay attention to the main event.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the fact that our main and co-main are both female fights. Listen, I want to tell you right now, because until recently, I've done all our ring announcing for Aries since we've started and things like that. It's no secret. For some reason, man, the Joe loves the female fights. They just do. They get so damn hype when we call out a female MMA fight. So I think you guys you're going to get even more stoked. Just that vibe when they realize and find out themselves that we're ending the show with 4 ladies getting ready to damn throw down. So I definitely hope that you two really soak in that experience, because it is a first for us. We've had a female main event, but we've never looked at a card and said, you know what, we're closing this damn showdown with 2 female fights, co-main and main. And Tim and I are probably the only people as pumped as you guys are that you're in those positions. Mary's been a great fighter for us, several times. and Yancey, like I said, has been out for a while, but we've known her coaches and gyms. So not just for you two, but for all four of you females, this is so awesome that we get to showcase four young, talented, up and coming females on this card. Spencer, I'm not trying to slight you any. Hey, we're still excited for you to be on this card.
Hey,
But,
Spencer, show him the TKO belt.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you're on here.
Yeah. So
This is our
new obviously Sierra's fighting for a belt, but we just picked up Twisted Tea as one of our sponsors. And so now, regardless of where you are on this card, whether you're fighting for a title or not, the Twisted TKO of the night belt is up for grabs. So any one of you all could be walking out with one, maybe even two Sierra belts, one on each arm, depending on how these fights go. So I would have to say right now, though, knowing the style of fighting, Sierra and Mary may have the leg up, because I feel like you guys, Tim, you said, both these girls are making it no secret. We want to stand and bang and see which one quits first, which one falls first. But it is a TKO too. So Zoe, Spencer, those ground and pounds will work just as well if you end it by that method as well. So I'm pumped. I can't wait for this. I can't wait to meet Zoe, all your damn Michigan family that are coming. Sierra, I think you guys are going to put on a hell of a main event. And Spencer, truly delighted to insert you in the mix here, because if you do walk away 3-0, bet your bottom dollar we will be calling you again for some bigger fights.
All right, guys.
Another road trip.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's wrap this thing up. I'm going to go around the horn one more time and let our listeners know where they can follow you on social media, and also give any shout outs where they're due. Any friends, family, training partners, sponsors. You'll get used to this part eventually. So you'll get better and better at it. Spencer, have at it. You got it first. Social media and shout outs.
You can follow me on Instagram at Spencer Lee Rivas. And I just want to thank my training partners, Bo Turnblom, Tegan Holmes, Sean McGuire, and especially my coach, James Gray, for giving me all the attention for this fight.
Zoe, you're up.
You can follow me on Facebook at Zoe Nowicki MMA, and on Instagram at Eat Sleep Wrestle, or I'm sure if you type in my name, that'll pop up too. I just want to give a shout out to my main training partners, Fallon Johnson, Kate Johnson, Cierra Buxton, Tiffany Woltman. They're such a well-rounded group, and I'm so happy to have them helping me through this fight. And I want to thank my family and all the supporters I have coming, and especially my coach, James Gray, who helps me when I'm in my mental lows and hypes me up when I'm on the high. So
Sierra, take us home.
Follow me on Instagram, Sierra_Buxton123, and then Facebook at Buxton, and it'll come up. And I want to thank my teammates, Zoe Nowicki, Adams, and Tiffany Holtman, and most of all, my coach, James, and my striking coach. They've been a great help during this fight camp, and I'm excited to continue working. I want to thank my family, too, for coming down and supporting me and my friends.
All right, folks, you can catch all three of these fighters in action at Aries 14 next Friday night from the world-famous Cotton Eye Joe, Knoxville, Tennessee, January the 6th. And you get your tickets while you can at fightertickswithx.com. Select one of their names from the drop-down menu so we can give them some extra commission monies. And then, of course, you can watch the pay-per-view. If you're not able to make the ride down from Michigan, we'll be on pay-per-view. Expectation Sports is the spot. So make sure you check that out. Hey, we appreciate the time. Spencer, Zoe, Sierra, we are more than thrilled to host you guys next week. And we look forward to it. Hope you guys stay safe the next week of training. We'll see y'all in Knoxville next Thursday.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.